We talked a little bit about methods. We have two parts to a method. We have the method definition, which is what code is going to execute, and we have the method call, which is when it's going to execute. So we have this silly say hello method. But what about if we had a method called is even, right? And is even, you have to give it a number, and it will tell you whether the number is even or not. So I'm over here and I'm going to change the name of this method definition to is even. I'm going to keep the argument the same, int num, and inside I'm going to go ahead and check if num is even. So I'm going to say if num mod 2 is equal to 0. We should all know how to do that. We're going to system.out.println, and we're going to say the number is even. And then on the else, we're going to say the number is odd. The number is odd. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try to run this. Let's see, where's my window? It's over here. So I will run main, and it says the number is even, right? And I still have this left over from before. So I can go ahead and give it another number, like 41, and let's see what the program says. The number is odd, right? So what is a method call? What is a method? It is a block of code that you can run whenever you want in your program. Right? And the way that you run it is that you say the name of the method, two parentheses, and you give it any arguments that it needs. Now, one more thing I want to mention is that this argument here does not have to be just a hard-coded number. It can be data that is inputted by the user, right? So we can do that by using a scanner. We could say scan equals new scanner. We could say system.in, and we'll say num int num is equal to scan.nextInt, and nextInt will take in the input as a number. Right? So this is going to pause our program. I type in 8, I hit enter, and num is going to be equal to the number 8. Right? So I can go ahead and give it num. Right? So now my program is going to call is even, and it is going to check if the number that the user typed in on the keyboard is even. Right? So you can also pass in variables. And so let me go ahead and run this. So it's here. I'm going to type in an 8. Number is even. Right? I'm going to run main again. I'm going to type in 9. It's going to say the number's odd. Right? Not only that, but we can go ahead and run this repeatedly. Right? So what do I want to do? I want to do let's say a while loop. Let's say while true, and I'll put this all inside. And what about if I say, yeah, maybe we don't want to do a while true. That'll run forever, right? We'll do a for loop, and we'll say for in I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus, and we'll keep on taking in a number and checking if it's even or not. So here we go. I'll type in a 1, odd, 2 even, 3 odd, 4 even, and then 5 odd, and then the program stops. Right? So what's the point of a method? Like, why do we even have them? Why are they even available to use? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One reason is that we name our methods descriptively. So it makes your program easier to read if you have your code separated into into methods, right? Another reason is that it follows the mantra of code once. This is like a programming mantra. Code once, use many times. All right? We want to be lazy programmers. Right? And if we wanted to call is even multiple times in our program, well, then we would have to write this code multiple times in our program. Right? But now that we have it as a method, well, it just takes this one small call here in order to execute this block of code. And remember, this block of code can be very long. It could be 100 lines of code. And if we needed to do that 100 lines of code multiple times in our program here, right, we wouldn't want to have 100 lines of code here, another 100 lines of code there, another 100 lines of code there to run that block of code. Right? The easiest way is to code it once and use it many times. put the 100 lines of code in a method definition and then call it with this one line of code whenever you need it to.